No buffering. Hot FM at 20. Your daily dose of non-stop entertainment. The heat is definitely on.
Welcome to Zambia's hottest radio talk show, The Hot Seat, exclusive to Hot FM 87.7.
Good morning. It's Thursday, the 29th of January, 2026, and I'd love to welcome you to Thursday's edition of the Hot Seat. We're live here in Lusaka on Hot FM 87.7, also live on Kwitu FM 93.3, that's our sister station, and Canele FM in the Eastern Province. Also live on Baita FM in the Southern Province, live on KNC Radio in the Central Province, Radio Mano in the Northern Province. In Muchinga Province, we're live on Chete FM, that's 89.9 in Nakonde. In Wapula, we're live on Radio Yangeni and KFM. And then in the Western Province, we are live on Oblet Radio Liseli. That's 105.3 FM in Mongu. And Mwandi Community Radio, that's 103.5 FM. Now, you can also catch us live on DSTV and GoTV. And also, you can stream Hot FM on your favorite radio streaming app. So you can listen to the Hot Seat here on Hot 87.7. Now, this morning, we're excited to host the man of the moment. He is Member of Parliament for Mporokoso. And last evening, elected Tonse Alliance President. We have Honorable Brian Mundubile on the Hot Seat. Good morning, Mr. Mundubile, and welcome to the Hot Seat.
Good morning to you. It's a good morning to all the listeners.
All right. Well, my name is Chisha Muambe. I am your host. So firstly, congratulations to you and your team for the victory last evening.
Thank you very much. We are very grateful to all those that supported us, and we continue to thank God for giving us this opportunity to lead.
Right. Now, you're on the face of almost all the daily newspapers this morning. How's the feeling this morning, and has it sunk in yet?
Chisha, the feeling is good, but of course, I'm immediately reminded of the immediate obligations that myself and my team have towards the Zambian people. We look at the confused political environment. We are looking at the poverty levels in the country, the governance situation in the country. So we are dealing with a country that is troubled. So being elected to this position of president in Tonse reminds me of the work that is ahead of me and my team. So yes, it's a good feeling, but a quick reminder that we immediately need to get on the ground and do a lot of work, as it were.
Now, we'll get to know how this victory was secured. But as a politician, and given the circumstances that surround opposition politics in Zambia today, how does this make you feel personally, at a personal level?
Like I said, Chisha, as a politician, I know that I'm a mayor delegate. This is about the Zambian people. The Zambian people are the ones that choose their leaders. I've been a leader at parliamentary level, a leader, in government before, but it's all about the Zambian people. So the moment as a leader, I understand it that it's not about me and it's not for me, but for that farmer who, for many months, was not paid the money for having supplied maize. It's about the patients who are going without medicines in hospitals, in rural areas, who, when they walk into these health facilities, they're only walking away with prescriptions. I have said this time and again, that policies or indeed leadership should be about being able to help the weak, the forgotten and the abandoned. So really, as you asked me, Chisha, how I feel personally, yes, it's an opportunity burdened with obligations. And immediately, what is burning in my heart is what I will immediately be able to offer. That Nakulumutenta Pankasa. How will I give a hope even between now and the time we're going into the elections. Yeah, so to answer your question, it's a very big opportunity, but it's burdened with obligations, and some of those obligations are the ones I've just highlighted.
And you're ready for those obligations?
I'm very ready for those obligations.
Now, in your victory speech, you paid a glowing tribute to Apostle Professor Dan Pule for the role he played in getting the Tonse Alliance to this stage. Give us a sense of the work that Professor Pule put in.
Yes, I think we all know that Professor Pule was the vice chairperson of the alliance at the time that President Lungu was the chairperson. He initially started as the chairperson. So when President Lungu joined, Apostle Pule became the vice chairperson. And of course, at some point, he was indisposed and went off. Yeah, so when he came back, he's been there. He's been at the helm of Tonse. I will not go into the confusion that has been there, but I think he has held on. He's provided direction, especially in the past couple of weeks. He's been very decisive. He's been very firm amid these frustrations. He remained steadfast. He was able to come up with a roadmap to the Congress and stuck to the plan. So I want to pay a glowing tribute to Apostle Pule for his statesmanship and indeed his leadership. He's a very decisive and strong leader. It was not very easy for him to plan and conduct a successful Congress like we had yesterday. There was a lot of frustrations, a lot of persecutions, a lot of stories and conversation. But he remained steady. He remained steady and decisive until the Congress happened. And I'm very, very happy and thankful to him for the leadership.
Has he accepted the result?
Yes, he has. You'll be interested to know, Chisha, that right from the beginning, we sat as candidates and agreed that whoever was going to emerge victorious, the other will support. We repeated that yesterday, even before the election. So if you looked at the mood, unfortunately, it only became live later. If you looked at the mood in Congress, you realize that as leaders, the moment you set the tone, you would not have violence in that setup. We had our supporters interacting and mingling freely because they had seen it from the leaders. And that's the kind of leadership that I want to applaud him for, because he was in the chair, he was acting, and even when we were competing, he gave me respect, as an equal. In the run-up to the Congress, we actually held several meetings. At every juncture when something changed, he made sure that he personally reached out to me, and he preferred personal meetings. He would call, "Are you free now? Can we meet up and just look at one issue?" We would meet for 5 minutes and agree. So clearly, we're talking about Apostle Dan Pule as a leader. Even as we're running up to that election, I learned something. I mean, he was picking up the phone himself. He would call me the other day. He said, "Do you have 5 minutes? Can we meet at Intercontinental? There's this issue," and we're able to resolve things like that. Yeah. So I think he showed leadership in this process.
Now, Mr. Mundubile, the reality is that the broader opposition is still very fragmented. How do you hope to use your election as Tonse president to address that?
Yes, when you look at yesterday's election, Chisha, you are talking about a number of political parties, opposition political parties. You are either talking about FDD, you're talking about CDP, talking about MDP, you talk about NRP, is it APC, you're talking about DPP, are you talking about the ECLPF movement, and so on. So already we demonstrated that a number of opposition political parties could come together and agree on a unified candidate. I think that's the most important step. Yes, I know that many people would want all the opposition political parties, to collapse into one. Yes, it would be a very good idea if it happened, but the practical side of things is something that we're yet to see. So we will, in as much as we want everybody to be in one boat. In practical terms, I think it's not possible. you still have other political parties going it alone. But if we could substantially bring a number of parties together, then it would greatly help achieve the result in August 2026, and that is to remove the UPND from power on account of their many failures that we've witnessed in the past 5 years. Yes, we would want to see all the political parties like that, but I think that so far, Tonse Alliance is an alliance of many political parties, including over 10 civil society organizations. So this alliance is already showing a unity. So we sit at the center. On account of what we've done so far, I strongly believe that will play a key role, a leading role in ensuring that we bring opposition political parties together. That is, as president of the alliance, I'll get involved actively to reach out to other presidents of political parties and make them see the need to come together. We do not have the time. We don't have the luxury of time. There's a lot of work ahead of us, and the part of coming together as opposition is the easier part. I think the bigger part is going out there, going out in the countryside, speak to our people so that they can give us a vote in August 2026.
If you just tuned in, this is the Hot Seat here on Hot 87.7. We're also live on Kwitu FM, Kanele FM in the Eastern Province. We're also live on Baita FM in Southern Province, KNC FM in the Central Province, Radio Mano in the Northern Province, Chete FM in Nakonde out there in Muchinga Province. In Luapula, we're live on Radio Yangeni and KFM, and then in Western Province, we're live on Oblet Radio Liseli. That's 105.3 in Mongu, and Mwandi Community Radio 103.5 FM. Also live on the Facebook page, Hot FM Zambia Facebook page. You can watch this live there. Leave your comment in the comment section, and we will ask our guests to respond to you. Now, Mr. Mundubile, in your speech, you extended an olive branch to other opposition members, including the Patriotic Front and the civil society. How do you hope to achieve opposition unity?
Yes, Jisha, like I've said before, I'll take an active role as president of the alliance to reach out to other opposition political parties, and including some of my colleagues in the PF, my fellow members of the PF. I know that there's been quite, some happenings within the party, but I want us to put all that behind. I'll take it upon myself to reach out to a number of colleagues, fellow leaders. Of course, some of them that, like Honorable Kafwaya. Honorable Kafwaya was a competitor, was my competitor in the presidential race within the PF. Yeah, I'm sure you see me with him like you did last night. I was supported by a lot of other senior members of the party, like Honorable Stephen Kampiongo, Honorable Davis Muila, Davis Chisopa. There were honorable MPs like Melesiana, Piri, Honorable Imano Tembo, Honorable Kapianga, Honorable Simumba, among others. So we want to come together. There's no time for differences. Yes, we may have differed in opinion previously, but I think time has come for us to unite and be able to give confidence to the Zambian people. So within the PF, once we unite, we actually give confidence to other opposition political parties to come and join us in Tonse as we drive the agenda in the opposition.
How smooth do you think this unity agenda will be? Because there have been, different voices with different opinions as to how all of this happened. So are you confident you can be the glue that brings everyone together?
Yes, there's something that I think many people may have observed. Despite the media reports, when you see us within the PF in person, when we meet, what you sense is a spirit of camaraderie, a spirit of fellowship, because we are friends, we are brothers and sisters. Despite having differences in opinion, when we meet, pick any name randomly, because we have no personal differences per se. We've only differed in opinion, as it were. So if you ask me how smooth it will be, I don't think it will be very difficult, because the fact that there are no personal differences. Where we have differed, we have quickly reconciled. I don't think I can pick a name, randomly, of a person within our party, the PF, that have differed with at a personal level to a point where I don't want to even see them the next day. No. They're all my friends. They're all my brothers and sisters. So it will be very smooth, I guess. We may not get everybody on board, but I believe that with the steps and the progress that we've made, we'll be able to persuade and encourage others to join us.
Have you received any congratulatory messages from other opposition leaders since last evening?
Oh, Chisha, the phone has been congested. There's been a lot of traffic on the phone from a number of opposition leaders, CSOs, and everybody. I think I've received a lot of support since my election last night, and I want to take this opportunity to thank everyone, all those that have continued to send congratulatory messages. I want to thank you for your support, and promise that as Chisha is asking, I will come and see you in person. Something that Apostle Dan Pule taught me in the past few days, that he didn't end with a phone call. He always insisted, can we also meet and conclude our discussions? Yes, I want to promise that my job, my first assignment, would be to reach out to opposition political parties and encourage and persuade them, to work with us in the opposition.
Now, you highlighted how divided the nation is today because of what you said were the divisive politics of the current administration. So how do you intend on solving that problem there that you've identified?
Jisha, everything starts with a leader. First of all, leadership is about the people. But a leader provides direction. The tone of the nation is provided by its leaders. So if a leader preaches division, the product, what you expect to see in that country, will be division. If a leader uses divisive language, what you expect to see in that nation is division. I gave you an example, Chisha, that just yesterday we demonstrated with Apostle Pule that you can compete for positions and remain civil. You can compete for positions as brothers and create an environment where even your supporters don't find it necessary to fight, because you, the leaders who are competing, have shown that fellowship. You have shown that spirit of camaraderie. And that's exactly what we demonstrated with Apostle Pule yesterday. So when you get to the country, if you have a leader who at every occasion, whenever he has a chance to go on the microphone, he'll be preaching to people maybe from a certain region to say, you have to vote for me, because if you don't vote for me, you will not be able to get into Lusaka. They'll continue beating you, they'll hack you, they'll all sorts of things. You go to one part of the country and say, give me 1 million votes only from here. Once you do that, then you are safe. That is already a division. President Hakainde Hichilema has been very divisive in his language. The reason why the country is divided today should be blamed squarely on President Hakainde Hichilema. He's been very divisive in his approach, in his language. So, as a leader, the first thing I will do is to change my language. Complete switch from divisive language to a language that will unite the Zambians. So it's very easy to talk about one Zambia, one nation. But in my case, it will be one Zambia, one nation indeed, not only in word. So the starting point is the leader, the language the leader uses. And secondly, there are a number of interventions, Chisha. If you go to our constitution, for instance, and specifically Article 259, it talks about appointments. It talks about the mandate. Once you're given the mandate and responsibility to make appointments, you shall do so taking into account regional diversity, gender, among others. That's a very, very important provision. And many people have actually got their eyes on that particular provision. So one way in which you divide the nation, Chisha, is through appointments to the civil service. So today, I would challenge anyone, take a list, random list of the last 500 appointments to key positions in government. You only draw one conclusion, that they've not been done in accordance with Article 259. So there's a way that you can bring about unity, using the law or indeed just your leadership.
So you're saying President Hakainde Hichilema has divided the nation. How exactly has he done that? Because that's a very alarming statement. Some would look at that as very alarming.
No, first of all, his language. President Hakainde Hichilema's language, especially, and I'm not afraid to say, he's made very alarming statements whenever he visits a southern province. Last time he was saying that when if they don't, my brothers and sisters from southern province do not vote for him, then they'll continue beating them. Then they'll stop coming to Lusaka. None of us remembered a time when our brothers and sisters from southern province were not allowed to come into Lusaka. We don't remember a time when buses, maybe carrying passengers from a particular region, were attacked on account of the fact that it carried people from a particular region. So for the president to use those words, that's actually very divisive. So I actually went on radio and called upon the president to desist from using such language. I encouraged the president that it's high time he used words or a language that would unite the country as opposed to dividing the country, as it were. Yes, so his approach and his language many a time has caused a lot of division in the country.
Now, let's deal with the design and structure of the Tonse Alliance. So you are now the president after winning the vote. Who else is in this team?
Yes, I'm at the helm of Tonse as the president of the alliance. Mm-hmm. The first vice president is State Council Chifumo Banda. The second vice president is Madame Exilda Mwenya. And then we have the Secretary General, Dr. Chris Zumani. And then there is a council of leaders. So you have a council of leaders, which ideally is like a cabinet of this alliance. So political parties have seats on the council of leaders. So we have a system where, depending on how long the party has been in the alliance, they are allocated a certain number of seats. So those parties that have been there from inception are allocated 4 seats. The ones that joined later are allocated 3 seats. And of course, the ECLPF movement initially had 15 seats in the council. The seats have been reduced to 7 on account of some resolutions that was passed by the council of leaders. So that's the structure that we have. So in terms of the president, the vice president, and the secretary general, there are 4 positions there. And then you have a council of leaders which has in excess of 30 representatives.
Do you anticipate any opposition to this new structure after that election?
Not at all, not at all. You see, in Tonse, we are very consultative. All these decisions are decisions that are made from the meeting of council of leaders. At every stage, there's been agreement. I don't see any opposition coming through, because whatever happened was as a result of the resolutions and decisions of the council of leaders. So there were no shortcuts. I wished you saw the Congress from the beginning. I have never seen a process so smooth. Because of constant consultations, we were able to execute a very credible and transparent process at yesterday's Congress. So I don't expect any contestations. There should be no challenges, as it were, because everything was done above board.
And there was enough representation, and no one will feel like they were left out from this process.
Not at all, not at all. In terms of quorum, Chisha, I think the last time I checked, we were at 92% from the total membership that was expected.
Was everyone aware that this was going to happen?
Yes, everyone was aware that it was going to happen.
Okay.
That's right. Everybody was informed. We have our own communication channels. Maybe Mr. Chish at Hot FM may not have been aware, but the members actually all knew what was happening, and everybody was aware.
Okay. Now, the question a lot of people will be asking is, as president of the Tonse Alliance, do you automatically get the ticket as the Alliance presidential candidate then?
Yes, indeed. In fact, that's what the Congress was all about. The Congress was about electing a leader for Tonse who will be the candidate in the August 2026 elections.
Okay. Now, when it comes to the aspect of the running mate, how do you deal with that particular aspect of that?
So, according to the Tonse Constitution, the two vice presidents, the first and second vice president, do not automatically become the running mate. So the president will choose, will elect a running mate, or indeed propose a name or two of the running mate, and present it to the Council of Leaders for ratification. So the process is well laid out. It's all agreed how we're going to run this a particular process. Yeah.
Who will be your running mate?
We'll cross the bridge when we get there. Very soon that will be discussed. Remember, like I pointed out, the name will be proposed. It will be presented to the Council of Leaders, and after ratification, you obviously be told.
People will be very curious to know who you will pick. When are we likely to know when that particular person will be picked?
Well, it will be very soon. Obviously, what is expected now, we are busy in Kasama, as you know. We have a mayoral elections today. We expect to win that election. Once we come together, of course, we'll be meeting in the background. A few consultations here and there, and we'll come up with a name not too long from now. Yeah.
What about the special purpose vehicle? Have those discussions been held?
Yes, everything goes back to the Constitution. We've been very careful. We know that most alliances have collapsed previously because of lack of consultation. So most of the things that we have to do are actually embedded in the law, in the founding documents. So the way we'll come up with a special purpose vehicle, Council of Leaders, where representatives of all political parties, including CSOs, will meet and agree on a special purpose vehicle. So Congress yesterday actually resolved that power be given to the Council of Leaders. Initially, in the Constitution, that power resides with the General Congress, but the Congress delegated that the Council of Leaders should come up with a special purpose vehicle. So at our earliest meeting, we'll be able to come up with a special purpose vehicle and announce to the nation.
How many options do you have for a special purpose vehicle? Because we saw in Chawama how that went. Is that sort of an indication of the direction that you go with this special purpose vehicle?
I wouldn't say so. I mean, we have over 8 political parties. Any of these is eligible, to be a special purpose vehicle, depending on the decision that the Council of Leaders will take. So each of these, there's no political party in there that comes in with a handicap or a disadvantage. So they're all possible, special purpose vehicles.
Have you lost all hope with ever running on the Patriotic Front as the party that you front in August of this year? Is that something you've just laid away, or is there a possibility that could happen, in your view?
Well, Chisha, you understand. First of all, you have to ask yourself one question. We've got Patriotic Front on one hand. Why was there also Tonse? That's the question to ask. Why did President Lungu create Tonse when there was PF? The moment you answer that question, then you realize exactly the direction that President Edgar Chagulunga wanted us to go. To put it very clearly, President Lungu was very clear when he said the UPND had taken over the Patriotic Front. And the whole idea was to destabilize the opposition. The UPND were very clear. They knew that PF was the largest opposition political party. So they destabilized it so that they could control parliament and they could control the narrative in the opposition. So President Lungu immediately, came up with UKA. Of course, there was confusion in the United Tonse Alliance, and later Tonse. So the idea of Tonse, Chisha, was that Tonse was to carry a candidate on behalf of other opposition political parties. So what we did yesterday was in conformity with President Edgar Chagwa Lungu's vision. This is exactly how he wanted it. If you ask me how I know, I have been a leader in Tonse for about a year now, appointed by President Edgar Chagwa Lungu. You know that I've been a national chairperson for parliamentary affairs. So I was very close to the decision-making body. I was actually in the decision-making body of Tonse. So what we have done is exactly how he wanted things done. Now, on the PF side, it was just a longer route that we had chosen for ourselves to get to where we are now. The idea was we go for a convention as Patriotic Front. Once we choose a leader, from the PF, he automatically takes up chairmanship and presidency of Tonse. Because at that time, Chisha, I want this to be very clear. At that time, PF was the anchor party for Tonse. The president of PF was automatically the president of Tonse. Now, along the way, we lost that position of an anchor party in Tonse. And presidency now was open to all alliance partners. So what it means then is that, let's say if I'd emerged as a president of the PF and went to Tonse, because Tonse is what President Edgar Chagwa Lungu left with us, I was not going to be an automatic president of the alliance. I was going to have to compete with other leaders in Tonse to emerge as president of Tonse. So the moment we lost the anchor position at Tonse, the moment Tonse resolved that president will be open to all alliance partners, whilst on the other hand, the problems continued with the court matters, Chavinga and the rest of them on the other side. So really, if you ask me, there would be no need for me to compete for presidents on the other hand, because Tonse is the way to go. We want to bring all opposing political parties under Tonse, and now I'm at the helm of Tonse.
How will you make sure that what happened with UKA doesn't happen to Tonse?
Well, we've learned from those mistakes. First of all, when you are in an alliance, you have to be ready to give and take. You have to be ready to give and take. The spirit of give and take, and you have to be able to also listen, even to members that you feel are new, or maybe have smaller membership than yourselves. So there should be no big political party and small political party. If you look at each other as equals, as members, and learn to respect views of others, we can cure most of those challenges that we faced at UKA. I've already seen that in Tonse. I've attended several meetings, and I've seen that there's a spirit of give and take, there's a spirit of wide consultation, and being able to give one another a chance in terms of ideas, as it were. So we're doing everything possible. The goodwill is there. I think we're all resolved in ensuring that we come together and bring the opposition together and drive the agenda forward. You see, Chisha, this is about the Zambian people. I keep saying this. As leaders, it's not about us. The reports should not always be about leader A, B, C, D. We are mere delegates of the people. The larger part of the news, the larger part of reports in the media should be about the Zambian people. So whenever we have issues, we should quickly resolve and begin to attend to the people. Otherwise, if it's all about us, who is going to talk about the cost of electricity that most Zambians are discovering is very high today? Who is going to talk about farming inputs? Who is going to talk about the challenges the farmers are facing? Who is going to talk about the quality of education on account of the, having many learners in one classroom versus, one teacher, as it were. So a greater part of the conversation should be about the suffering of the Zambian people. It should be about the challenges the Zambian people are facing. It should be about the challenges our youths are facing. It should be about challenges the civil servants are facing. The miners and the rest of it should form a greater part of the conversation, and not so much about the differences and reconciliations among party leaders. That should really be happening in the background as we go out there to sort out issues concerning illegal miners. Are we going to allow our youths to be exterminated as we recently heard? Or are we going to advise government to take a better approach as they deal with these so-called illegal miners? As we look at conditions of service for people in the mining industry, as we look at conditions of service of the civil servants, as we look at the unemployment levels and the plight of the youths, that's where we must deploy most of our time.
The newly elected president of the Tonse Alliance is our guest today, Honorable Brian Mundubile, here on the hot seat. We're live in Lusaka here on Hot 87.7. Also live on Kwitu FM 93.3. We're live in the Eastern Province on Kanele FM. Live in the Southern Province on Baita FM. In the Central Province, it's on KNC FM. Northern Province, you're listening to us live on Radio Mano. In Muchinga, we are live on Chete FM, that's 89.9 in Nakonde. Luapula Province is hearing us live on Radio Yangeni and KFM. In the Western Province, it's Oblet Radio Liseli, 105.3. And then Mwandi Community Radio as well. Then on the Copper Belt, we're live on Mafken FM. Good morning to you, wherever you're listening to us from. Also, you can join our Facebook Live. Just go to Hot FM Zambia and you can leave a comment there as well. We're also live on DSTV and GoTV as well. So many options for you as to how you can listen to this program. Now, Mr. Mundubile, it might be a bit too soon, but is there already a roadmap of how to get Brian Mundubile on the ballot in August and subsequently into State House? We ask this because some people have suggested that you have to hit the ground running, seeing that you don't have the luxury of time.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Chisha. Yes, one of the reasons why we agreed to come together as opposition were to share, to synergize and be able to go out there and defeat the UPND and be able to provide solutions to the many challenges that people are facing. Now, if you look at the composition in terms of membership of the alliance, we are basically spread all out. For instance, let's talk about the ECL PF movement. We are in all the 10 provinces of the country. We are in all 116 districts of the country. We are in all 156 constituencies. As I speak to you now, in all those 156 constituencies, our leaders at that level are busy campaigning now, because what they said to me this morning, most of those that called, is that we are happy that you have given us direction. Efe tualelo lela, mwatupela direction, nomba na tuishiwa nomboko tulea, nenchito nomba chashani ya yamba. So, yes, there's a lot of work, but work has already begun. Even as I speak to you now, kuli abantu abali mufield. Uko kuchipata kwa mkaenda kulumezi, mzapeza kuti wantu wangena kale mufield, kukamba kuti manje, tapeza direction. Tienti ngene, tiambe kupeleka zina la candidate watu. Ndawa manji tachitabwanji, taziva. So, the members, the membership, and indeed the structure that we have across the country will assist. You know very well, Chisha, that now the democratic space is completely diminished. You have no freedom to hold a rally. You can't have a party meeting before police show up and disrupt your meetings and so on. So we have to be very tactful. We use, of course, social media platforms and also our party structures and from all our member parties to ensure that they campaign. And when we have an opportunity, we'll go out there in person to engage. So konse mule tumfuila whether nikulu apula ni kuchembe kusamfya kumporokoso kumbala kuchipata imwena chipata kumugubudu and all those areas tuletila pane work has to start now. And our message is very simple. Kutulea kutila. Number one, ubafya tukwete number one. Ni division mchalo. Baneka twikatane. The first assignment, what we have to work at, even as we campaign, is unity of the nation. We must unite as Zambians. We should not be separated by circumstances of our birth. We should not be separated by region. We must see each other as Zambians and not through tribe. This is one message that I continue to preach, that even the development that we yearn for will not come if we can't unite. So wherever you are, this journey has started. The Tonse Alliance train has taken off. But even as it starts, we are saying, can we hold hands as brothers and sisters? Let's look at each other as Zambians and not divided by tribe or indeed circumstances of our birth.
Mr. Mundubile, the whole country is listening and watching this program. You've been elected to lead the Tonse Alliance. Most people would like to know, what's your national agenda or vision for Zambia?
Number one, like I've said, is unity. We have to unite the nation. That is non-negotiable. There's no compromise to that. The one Zambia, one nation should be one Zambia, one nation, indeed, and not one Zambia, one nation in word. So that is number one. Number two, we look at eradication of poverty. Poverty eradication is the next most important item on the agenda. Now, if we look at those two to start with, the first one is fairly straightforward. It's something that we can achieve very easily. It's just up to the political will. We have to preach it and we have to practice it. If we talk about unity every day and practice unity, how do we do that? For instance, Chisha, if you were to be appointed as DC, you should be DC in Mongu. That's what Kaunda did. Kaunda made sure that civil servants were taken all over the country so that, one, they appreciated the culture of other regions, as it were. So it became very easy to coexist. And then secondly, he ensured that appointments into the civil service were done taking into account regional diversity, as it were. So dealing with the issue of unity, I think, is very straightforward. It's just the political will, which I already have. So that would be the easiest. The next one is poverty eradication. So we're looking at eradicating poverty, and we've come up with the concept of Nakulumutinta Pankasa. So Chisha Nakulumutinta ni nakulu bantu owashalaika abana bakubonse balifwa but balishabe shikulu. So Nakulumutinta is old, retired, living in her last days, but looking after grandchildren. Enda felionse ukuya ku market in Pamakasa, ukuya ku clinic in Pamakasa, and fionse fya kufua ilisha. So in formulating policies, we must put Nakulumutinta Pankasa at the center. So if we're going to talk about investments in mining and our returns from our mining sector, I must be able to see Nakulumutinta Pankasa. How will she derive a benefit? Are we going to get enough money? Is our net benefit from the mining sector enough to trickle down to Nakulumutinta Pankasa? She has nothing to do with mining. She doesn't even live anywhere near a mine. Okay? But in her village, in Chishamwamba, Kumporokoso, the mine is in Solwezi. Is government going to collect enough taxes? Is the net benefit to Zambia from the policies we're crafting for ourselves, is there enough to even trickle down to Nakulumutinta? Will Nakulumutinta eventually get her 8 bags of fertilizer as a result of maximizing returns from the mining sector? Is Nakulumutinta, are we going to reduce the distances to health facilities? Will we get enough money from the mine to build clinics right next to where Nakulumutinta lives? Do we have enough money to build more schools to ensure that abeshikulu wakwana Nakulumutinta are not 120 in a classroom, but they are 40 as recommended, by these standards? So Nakulumutinta here comes in when we look through the decisions that should be made. So poverty eradication, one, based on Nakulumutinta, and indeed unity of the nation are the things that I'll prioritize.
Why should Zambians trust you to achieve these goals?
We all have a history, government, in politics. I think that the time that I saved in Northern Province, my record is there to show. I would not want to bring it out myself. There's a lot of work that was done within that short period of time. So Zambians can trust me because I believe my word is my honor. When it comes to governance, there are certain things that are planned. Remember that you have, for instance, a 5-year plan, the National Development Plan. From that National Development Plan, you derive yearly plans. Your budget is actually extracted from the National Development Plan. So sometimes things don't work exactly as planned. So as a leader, I should quickly get back to the people and say to them that, look, in my planning, I thought that I would bring back the price of milling to 50 kwacha. I thought that fertilizer could be brought down to 250. I actually thought I could give you 8 bags, per farmer. And I thought the price of fuel can come down to 12 kwacha. I should be able to go back to the people and say, one, either the assumptions that I used were wrong, or I was simply inexperienced. I had no idea of what I was talking about. I'm now overwhelmed with that I found. Leaders must learn to own up, must be able to go back to the people and tell them to say, look, drop this expectation on account of 1 or 2 things that have happened. What to be able to achieve out of these 10 things that we promised you, we can only deliver 5. Zambians are very forgiving. They will say, okay, you know, Muntufi. After all, it was just a plan. It was something to do in the future, as it were. So if you ask me, Chisha, why Zambians should trust me, Zambians should trust me that I will always be there to tell them the truth. I'll tell them what is possible. When we make undertakings, we'll make promises based on the information that we have, based on maybe what the experts have advised. Given these circumstances, this we can do. But if anything changes, I'll be quick to get back to the people and make them adjust the expectation to align with what can be achieved in reality.
Don't you think some people look at that as you failing? If you were to come back and say, whatever I said I'm going to do is not possible.
So maybe, Chisha, that's the time when you have to choose between failing or being called a liar. You've got to choose. I don't know which one is easier. I think being called a liar is not a good thing. Okay? If you failed whilst trying and people can appreciate the effort, you are sitting in a better place than being called a liar. Somebody that just went out and said things that they didn't mean to do. So if you're labeled as a liar, pretty much people lose hope. There's no hope because they don't know what to believe. Every time you speak to someone, so from me, I want to say this, that you should trust me because there are 2 great men that once led the Patriotic Front. You must have been an ardent follower of Michael Chilufya Sata. Sata was very clear with what he did. He fought poverty in practical terms. President Lungu took over from that vision also and carried on. So some of us who were lieutenants, to these 2 leaders and followed them keenly, we know why the Patriotic Front as a party remains very strong. One was because of its ideologies of lifting people out of their poverty, taking practical steps and practical measures, as it were. So I'm sitting here as a leader who's well-guided, a leader who actually knows what the Zambian people want. I am very clear and I know about that. But we are in an alliance. Because we're in an alliance, will come together and refine some of these ideas that we've had as Patriotic Front. Now that we're in the Tonse Alliance, there are a few other finer brands that have come on board, who will be able to also look at some of the pitfalls, some of the errors and mistakes that they feel we made when we're in government, and make corrections so that what we give to the Zambian people are perfect and best solutions, as it were.
Now, some would look at late former President Mike Osata as he was a fiery leader. Late former President Edgar Lungu was he had a gentle approach. What kind of leader are you?
I come in between. Yeah. Somewhat gentle, somewhat fiery.
And that's been your been your approach throughout your political career.
Of course. I think that I've been out there. You will not find it very difficult to extract videos of who I've been as a politician for the past 10 years. So it's not something that is being created. It's something that has been there. And yes, somewhat gentle and somewhat fiery. Not by design, but that's who I am.
That's who you are.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, in your view, what is the biggest challenge facing Zambia today, and how does a Mundubile presidency address that?
Yes, the biggest challenge, like I said earlier, are these divisions. You see, with divisions, Chisha, don't underrate the challenges that they cause. I'll give you a practical example today about the civil service. On account of regionalism, some of the best brains coming in with a lot of experience and institutional memory are sidelined and packed at cabinet office. Some of the challenges they're facing in the agricultural sector is because the experts are actually packed. They've been packed the past 4 years at cabinet office. The challenges that you're having in the education sector, the challenges that we've had in the health sector, because the experts who worked with the previous governments are actually all packed away. Why? On account of this regionalism, as it were. So there are a lot of challenges that this brings about across the sectors and in all endeavors. So this is the biggest challenge. The moment we're able to unite the nation and get Zambians to sit together to find solutions for this country, we will indeed resolve the challenges that we face as a country. But that cannot be achieved as long as there are divisions.
So how do you make that a permanent solution so that no matter who's in office, we see a united Zambia, even whether it's you or someone else that's there leading the country?
Okay, so I'll pick one example. For instance, I made reference to Article 259. So there's actually a provision in the Constitution that would cure the regionalism that we're facing. But the challenge is on implementation. So one of the solutions is to bring in a commission. You see, other countries, other jurisdictions actually have commissions that specifically look at the implementation of the Constitution. Okay? So you'll have something like Constitution Implementation Commission. So their job, their role is to make sure that the provisions in the Constitution are implemented. So if such a commission was in existence here today, President Hakainde Hichilema would have been visited several times by this commission to tell him that he's not implementing Article 259. And as a result of that, you will see that people from certain regions are actually not represented in the civil service. If they are very few. So if you're going to look at proportions, you pop out the names and you look at that. It's a serious thing. I mean, people would like to avoid it. We will not solve this problem if we continue running away from it. So before anybody gives me a call here to argue, they should just print out lists of appointments and then come with a list and say, okay, here's 300 names. So you are wrong, Honorable Mundubile, because out of these 300 names, this is how they are divided across the provinces. But not to just present an argument, say, Fishmail and Dapo, I know exactly what I'm talking about. This is one question that I raised several times, even on the floor of the House, to our honor the Vice President. So this is just one example. So the challenge we have today is that of unity And of course, poverty. So when you ask me what I would do for Zambia, I started with the two challenges that we face, which is unity or lack of it, and indeed poverty. So the poverty levels, Chisha, are very high now. In the rural areas, they are going to 80%. In the urban areas, they've gone up from 50, they're approaching 60%. This is urgent, it's an emergency. So this is one big challenge. So if you ask me, poverty eradication and poverty reduction, you can't eradicate poverty, Chisha, without creating employment. So the biggest weapon to fight poverty with is employment creation. And you're talking about sustainable employment. So when you create employment, you actually begin to fight poverty. So that's a starting point. And you're not talking about employment creation in the civil service. This employment creation should be in the actually in the private sector. I know that our government has paid a lot of attention to the mining sector, and they've been celebrating figures in terms of investments that come to the mining sector. There was a report in sometime, I think in 2012, 2013, on employment creation. During the time of Rupiah Banda, they managed to attract a lot of investment in the mining sector with the hope of creating employment. What they discovered was that despite billions of dollars going in terms of investment in the mining sector, the figures in terms of employment were very, very low. So they had it all wrong by inviting these investments in the mining sector, and the figures were huge. So the government then believed that they were going to create employment. It was discovered that mainly, in that sort of investment, there's a lot of investment in machinery. You find one piece of equipment that costs $2 million, only needs one operator, a lady that operates it. So really the investment figures not correspond to the employment figures, as it were. So as we target employment creation, we must look at sectors that are going to employ a number of our people. And the agricultural sector is one such a sector. We've got to look at sectors like that and sectors like tourism and many others. So I think in answering your question, these are two big challenges. One, poverty, and two, divisions in the country. These are the two that we'll have to tackle.
All right, well, let's involve the listener in this. Give us a call, 0974-870-877. You can give us a call now to ask a question or give us a contribution. Our guest is Honorable Brian Mundubile, who is now the Tonse Alliance president after an election last evening. Feel free to call us now. We're live here in Lusaka on Hot FM. We're also live on Kwitu FM. We're live on Kanele FM in the Eastern Province. We're on Baita FM in the Southern Province. KNC Radio in the Central Province. Radio Mano in the Northern Province. Muchinga Province is listening to us live on Chete FM. Luapula is listening live on Radio Yangeni and KFM. And then Western Province, we have Oblet Radio Liseli and Mwandi Community Radio. And also live on the Copper Belt on Mafken FM. Call us now, 0974-870-877.
You're listening to the Hot Seat on Hot FM 87.7. It's time for you to call now and get involved. Call now and get involved.
Yes, feel free to give us a call, 0974-870-877. Also, feel free to leave a comment on our Facebook page. We have a live video going on now, so leave a comment in the comment section and we will pass on your comment to our guest today. It's 0974-870-877. Give us a call now. What is your question or contribution to our conversation today? Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning. I think we have lost that one there. Do try and give us a call back on 0974-870-877. What's your contribution to our conversation? The Member of Parliament for Mporokoso and also the newly elected Tonse Alliance president That is Honorable Brian Mundubile is our guest here on the hot seat on Hot 87.7. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. What's your name?
My name is Mapolo Chandra. I'm calling from Kasama district.
Okay. Mukelo, please go ahead.
I wanted to ask Mr. Brian Mundubile on matters relating to youth. Because at the moment, youth constitute a largest majority in Zambia, but yet we are underrepresented in parliament and also in cabinet, together with in key government body making decisions. And yet we've been used by a lot of politicians promising us jobs, promising us key positions in which we can participate in making decisions. So what steps are they going to be taken, including youth in these positions?
All right. Well, thank you very much for your call.
All right, thank you.
All right, that's Mukelo in Kasama. You can call as well, 0974-870-877. What's your question or contribution for our guest, Honorable Brian Mundubile, the Member of Parliament from Porokoso, and also the newly elected Tonse Alliance President? Maybe you can tackle that one there. Your plan for the youth. Question from Mukelo, who's in Kasama right now.
Yes, Chanda. So, Chanda Mukelo, the issue of the youths is something that is very central to my heart. So, to start with, we start with the law. Article 259 does not only talk about regional diversity, it also talks about youths. So, even as we sit, even before Bill 7, the law was such that in these positions, there should have been youths and women appointed. So the law of Chanda, at DC level, just starting with the DC level, out of 116, there should have been at least 25 youths appointed to positions of district commissioners, because we have 116 district commissioners, according to the law, Article 259. Unless where it's impractical, the law already provides for that. So if you ask me, Chanda, I will ensure that Article 259 is implemented to the core. So to start with, at all levels, PAMA levels, yama DCs, PAMA levels, yama permanent secretaries, na nomination pala penefe. Ila ina position bapela tio president kutaisa nominate abantu 8. Pafilo kubo musepela. If you ulupa prolacha loloaba, ilwa ista provide for vanamayo ne misepela. So inclusion ya misepela is a must. I believe that youths are agents of change. Elio, today's youth, Chanda, the way I want to work with the youths, I want to work with the youths not using the buddy or grandfather approach. I want to use a big brother approach. As a big brother, Chanda, I'm able to listen to you. Iya kwa buddy nangu grandfather, they just tell you, kaiba fiash, iwechitefi. Now a big brother will come to you and say, no mbaba ne mwemisepela, tuchiteshani. So you'll be free to come and bring up your proposals. I strongly believe that youths have a lot of ideas. And if given an opportunity, youths are actually able to find solutions, to their own the challenges. All that they need is to be given opportunities. And that, Chanda, I will be able to give youths an opportunity to be able to make decisions that resolve the challenges that they face. Because the law is already there, and we are well guided on how to proceed with that.
All right, 0974-870-877. What is your contribution? Feel free to give us a call. Hello, good morning.
Hello. Good morning. How are you?
Morning, well, okay. How are you?
Okay, my name is Yumba Piri.
Yumba Piri, please go ahead.
Yes, first and foremost, I want to congratulate President Mundubile because he has shown leadership. We were getting frustrated because of the way PF has been conducting themselves. First and foremost, we are aware that they opened their presidential campaign in 2022, and Lubinda has been continuously been changing the goalposts on when the convention was going to take place. The last one being the one that we got through the social media on 29th November, where after that meeting, again, we saw him suspending people who were for the convention. So I think President Mundubile, you have done very well to come out and be able to take leadership. The leadership that you have in your party, PF, it is not going to take Zambians anywhere, because we have seen that one of the acting president, your acting president has declared that he is not going to accept anyone to lead because he's the most experienced leader. So what convention are you talking about as PF that you are going to have, when in fact you have already, the one who is already acting has said he is not going to have anyone taking up that position. So I think President Mundubile, you now, it is your time now to work with Tonse so that you can identify a political party that you are going to use. Forget about PF now, because you have PF in the heart. We know that Chawinga has the papers, and you have the people. As the people on the ground, we are going to go with you. After all, even a person Sata who formed the PF, when he left MMD, people were saying, where is he going to go? That man has gone alone. Because in FDD, they had 22 members of parliament. Heritage had a lot of people who followed. So basically, don't look around you, Mr. President. You are my president, and me, I'm going to stand with you.
All right, we need you to conclude, please.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much for your call there. Feel free to leave a comment on our Facebook page, and we'll then throw it to our guest here. There's a comment here from Zach Stembo. He says, kindly ask Mr. Mundubile what he will do for students and the alternative to free education. You can tackle both the call and that comment as well.
Thank you. So Zach's, the alternative to free education. First of all, free education is a very good concept, and I agree with it in totality. But I think that as it's being implemented now, it's in a limited sense. There's a lot that can be done under the free education policy that will not only produce quantity but also quality. Free education has been there before in this country. If you ask those that went through free education, to give you an idea, Zach, the free education that time, it gave you books. There were companies that were deliberately set because there was enough money that was coming from the mining sector. So the net benefit from the mines enabled government to create, I've just forgotten that those companies that were producing books. There were companies under government that were producing uniforms. So you basically had books, you had uniforms, plus shoes. You just walked and picked your set, and you were going to school, and you actually fed at school. And in those classrooms, there were not 120 pupils under one teacher. They were between 35 and 40 as recommended. So you discovered that those that went through that sort of free education indeed had quality education. So to put the record straight, the free education policy is something that I fully support, but that needs some improvement. There's need to do more. And if you ask me, is it possible under our current situation to do more? Yes, it is possible. All we have to do is to ensure that we get a little more out of our resources and be able to employ it to good policies like that of free education. Yumba piri ziko mkwambiri wawa I am very grateful for your comment and kind words. What I want to tell you is that tisasebenzela pamozi with our brothers and sisters in the PF. If we all indeed carry the vision of Michael Chilufya-Sata and President Edgar Chagwa Lungu, we all know that President Edgar Chagwa Lungu left us with Tonse. And the reason he left us with Tonse was that UPND wanapoka chipane cha PF. From the court judgment yesterday, court ruling yesterday in Kabwe, it confirms what President Edgar Chagwa Lungu feared. Banaziba ba President Kuti bazamba kushita mingalato makoti mailo bachitadjani the other day in injunction and so on. That is why balungu wanatisila Tonse pakuti ise Tonse tinkale mkati moja. Tikangala mkati moja, then we should provide opposition to the current government, and when the elections come in August, we must win that election and begin to provide a new leadership to the Zambian people.
All right, give us a call, 0974-870-877. Call us now, give us your contribution. Remember, we're live on Hot FM and and Kwitu FM rather in Lusaka. We're live in the Eastern Province on Kanele FM, Southern Province live on Baita FM, Central Province we're live on KNC Radio, Northern Province we're live on Radio Mano, Chete FM, that's in Muchinga Province, live there as well. Also live on Radio Yangeni in Wapula Province and KFM. In Western Province, we're live on Oblet Radio Liseli and Mwandi Community Radio. Also live on the Copper Belt on Mafken FM. Give us a call on 0974-870-877. We have a message from our Facebook feed. Mickey DeSanders asks, Sir, what's your policy on mining and energy? Plus ensuring the indigenization of the economy, which is largely in the hands of foreigners. What would your response be to Mickey asking about mining and energy?
Yes, Mickey, mining is our largest resource. Previously, our country was able to develop because of the policies in the mining sector, and by that time, government was running most of the mines. So the starting point, we want to assure the Zambians and indeed our investors that we welcome investment in this country. But at the same time, we'll have to ensure that it will be a win-win situation. The investor should get a return on his investment, meaning his profit. But there must be some benefit. There must be a good benefit for the Zambians. So it's about net benefit. What are we getting? If we are told there's $2 billion worth of investment in the mining sector, our question is, Nakulumutinta Pankasa, what is the benefit? So if the net benefit from that investment will be able to go to Mbala, it will be able to go to Lunte, where Nakulumutinta Pankasa is, and build a hospital. Not as we are seeing today, with all those big figures, Comrade Musokotwane and President Hakainde Hichilema are talking about. It's to the Zambian government to produce money to do roads on the Copper Belt, to do roads in Northwestern Province. That is the point of departure. We should be able to get enough money. The investor gets his return on investment, a fair return on his investment. But at the same time, there must be enough money remaining in this country for social services. We expect most of these roads today to be done because the copper prices are very high. And we know that ideally we should be getting a very good return from some of these resources to invest in these other sectors. So, Mickey, the focus really will be to ensure that the Zambians also, indigenous Zambians also participate in mining and also in the energy sector and participate meaningfully. We do not want them to participate as middlemen because mostly these people who come in as middlemen are just fronts of leaders who are in government making these decisions. We want Zambians to participate in these sectors meaningfully by putting up investments that will be durable. Even if there was a change of government, that agent who only came in because they had an advantage of being in government disappears. They are basically traders who would come in and take advantage of citizens, put a premium on the cost of electricity and so on and so forth. What we'd like to encourage is real investment in both the mining sector and indeed the energy sector. There are a number of water bodies, for instance, in Northern Province, with potential to generate power. We would want Zambians to participate, to be owners of these facilities. We also want Zambians to own mines, to have shares in mines. That's the only time we'll be very sure that most of the wealth coming out of our mineral resource will be invested and will remain in Zambia, as it were. So, Mickey, it's a very good observation. We've seen that the economy is actually in foreign hands. But we have to take practical steps to ensure that Zambians participate in all these sectors meaningfully.
All right, give us a call, 0974-870-877. Our guest is Honorable Brian Mundubile, who's Member of Parliament from Porokoso and also the newly elected Tonse Alliance President. If you have a question or contribution, go ahead and give us a call, or you can leave a comment on our Facebook page. We have a message from Chaba Kennedy Mwakbe on Facebook. He says, good morning. First of all, I would like to say congratulations to the President in studio. My contribution or concern is in Chawama, because that's where I live, in Mississippi to be specific. We don't have proper garbage collection. What plan do you have in place to solve that problem, and also the drainage system? We need proper drainage system there. And this obviously is not a problem that's only being faced by this particular constituency. This is a widespread issue, actually.
Yes, Chavala Kennedy. The challenges that we face, like the one you're facing in Chawama, is maybe lack of capacity at local government level. So at the national level, at presidential level, we have to ensure that decentralization is actualized. Once decentralization is actualized, the local authority will have enough capacity to resolve some of these challenges. So if you look at Lusaka is a very big council. I was reading somewhere the other day that they're collecting, I think, up to 100 million kwacha per month. So with that sort of capacity, and you get the right human resource, and you allow them to operate, most of these councils are actually disturbed by politicians, because the ministers and the other leaders in government interfere with the proper functioning of these councils. So to answer your question, Kennedy, that's purely a matter that can be managed at local government level when they are given enough room to function properly. You look at the situation in Kanyama, it's been there for a very long time. Mrs. George Compound, Nakonsioko. Those challenges have to be planned for, have to be budgeted for. Now, you don't leave it up to the national level, to be budgeted at the national level. At local government level, those challenges will be resolved. But when they're elevated to a central government level, then they're just on the list of many other challenges. So in this particular case, once you fully decentralized, local government to move in, they'll be more effective in areas like Chawama, areas like Misisi, Kanyama, and many other areas. So the problem that is being faced in Misisi is being faced in many other areas. So instead of just going into Chawama to try and resolve that, we have to capacitate the council. We have to ensure that the councils have enough power and enough room. I provide the political will to allow them to work independently as a council to resolve some of these challenges.
I have a question from Boyd, and his question is around cadreism. Now, we know this was one of the reasons that people went and voted the Patriotic Front out in 2021. How will you handle that this time around?
To start with, by way of brief background, after we lost elections, there was President Edgar Chagwa sanctioned a post-mortem. So people went around the country to find out why we lost the 2021 elections. The president then was very concerned. He looked at what his government had done in terms of development, what his government had done in the areas of agriculture, in the areas of energy, in the areas of health, areas of education. He simply said, look, I think we fared well in all these areas, but why did we lose elections? So the responses that came from that report pointed to the fact that cadreism was rife in most of these areas. And citizens simply said no to cadarism. So as a result of that report, we took a position as a party. Which position I take as an individual, which position I will take on behalf of the alliance. There is no room for violence. There will be no cadarism. There will be no violence. I know that today the UPND government would like to come and say they've brought about peace. And yet every election, just in Kasama 3 days ago, somebody was hacked. Yesterday, people were hacked. And they will come, the president will come and say, we have ended cadarism and we've ended violence. So our way of ending cadarism will not be similar to that of the UPND. Because for them, ending cadarism is where, as long as the one who has been brutalized is not UPND, then they've ended cadarism. Other political parties can be brutalized, other parties can be beaten up and harassed. It's not cadarism. It can only be cadarism if people from their political party are the ones that have been brutalized. In our case, when we're saying zero cadarism and zero violence, we mean just that.
We have another comment from Abel Lulabilo, who says, good morning, Mr. President. Congratulations once more. My question is, are you ready to call your brother Makebi Zulu and Greyford Monday to work with you?
Lulabilo, what's his name?
Yeah, Abel Lulabilo.
Abel Lulabilo. Yes, Abel. Thank you for that. Makebi and Monde are my brothers. Behind the scenes, Abel. If you ask me when was the last time you saw Makebi, I was with him 2 days ago. So we normally meet. We can't always be on camera when we're meeting and discussing. So yes, as I said earlier, I'm going to reach out to many of my brothers within the PF and outside the PF to persuade them and encourage them that they come on board so that we can work together. So Makebi Zulu and Greyford Monde are among those brothers that I'm going to engage. You're very correct, Abel.
Thomas is asking, what are your plans for the small businessman and woman, especially those who have skills but don't have enough capital? What's your solution for Zambian citizens like that? Yes,
Thomas. Thomas, you and I share a background. You know, I can say something about myself with small businesses. I've a lot of passion for small businesses because I started my business that way. So I also understand the many challenges small businesses face. So there are two things, basically, Thomas, that small businesses face. One is that of finance. The second one are opportunities. So these two have got to be addressed together to be able to help small businesses. Let's start, for instance, with I always go to the mining sector because this is where most of the money for Zambia is. So let's say in the mining sector, Thomas, we've been pushing government for a policy that would guarantee local businessmen a certain amount of business within the mining sector. And I think at the last meeting they agreed on 25%. Now we want to embed this in the law. Actually, under my government, we will push for 40%. So what that means, Chisha, is that if there is $5 billion worth of business per year in the mining sector, $2 billion will be reserved for the Zambian people. Now, the moment you do that, Thomas, we have resolved one problem because you have some guaranteed business in the mining sector. So the UPND government created Small and Medium Enterprises Ministry. A very good idea that I can tell you, a brilliant idea at that. But what they didn't do was to go to the end. They should have gone to the end to create banks, a bank that takes care of specifically small and medium enterprises, a bank that would take care of farmers, as it were. So the idea really is, if you look at even the PF manifesto, these are some of the things that we tackled. The creation of a bank that would specifically look at small scale businesses and indeed farmers. So the first thing we'll do, Thomas, to answer your question generally, is to ensure that we create opportunities and then be very deliberate, but creating financial institutions These are the institutions actually which are supposed to be even holding the CDF money. That's a bank that's supposed to be holding the CDF money, because as a government you're being deliberate about building small businesses. When you talk about empowerment, Chisha, empowerment is not giving business to a person who can get business anywhere. You know what I mean? They can go to Botswana, they can go to Namibia and do. When you want to empower people, you have to be deliberate. You are being very deliberate. If I want to empower Thomas, I should know that Thomas has no access to finance and has no business opportunities. So these are the two things government has to resolve. Then we'll talk about empowerment. Yes.
Okay. Well, we're coming to a close now. This is the month end of January, and it means we have about 6 months to go before the general election. Is that sufficient time for you and your team to mount a serious challenge?
Yes, I think it is. Where we are, Chisha, is that the Zambian people are decided. They are decided that there's going to be a change of government. And they're not doing that out of malice. They're doing that out of the failures that the EPND government has recorded. So it's been failure in the energy sector, failure in the agricultural sector, failure in the health sector, failure in the mining sector, failure in the governance system of the country, as it were. So there is no sector today that the EPND government can come up with to show their successes. So because of that and the high poverty levels that we're experiencing today, the Zambians have made up their minds. As a matter of fact, when President Hakainde Hichilema and my dear brother, fellow counsel, Mlambo Haimbe, I saw him in an interview. There's no opposition. No opposition where? They forgot that the actual opposition are the Zambian people. So what the Zambians demonstrated in Chawama was that even when they could not discern where the leadership was at the time, the Zambians themselves, coming together as an opposition, could make a decision that would change this country. So in this particular regard, I believe we still have enough time, because the failures by the UPND are well documented, are well known by the Zambian people. They are looking for a leadership that is going to prioritize the plight of the Zambians. It's about the Zambian people. We have to look at the suffering of the Zambian people. If I ask you, Chisha, what's a government there for? A government is there not to be posting figures of how much they've grown reserves whilst the citizens wallow in poverty. A government is not there to be posting on their Facebook pages how they have reduced inflation when there's no impact that reduction causes on the ground. So they are not there to talk about debt restructuring, and yet the poverty levels keep on going up. So a government is there to resolve challenges that the Zambian people face. Like the gentleman in Chawama was saying, he asked a question. So there's supposed to be a government to resolve that particular problem. Okay? So Uyu Chavala Kennedy, he's concerned. Because as far as he's concerned, when you go to Chawama, you go to Misisi, you go to Kanyama, they can't see presence of government in all these areas. When you go and see farmers dying and collapsing on queues waiting for their money, the people there can't see government. So these are the same people that are going to vote in August 2026. And these are the people that have made up their minds to remove the UPND. So what we come with at Tonse is to provide that leadership that will look out for that poor woman, will look out for that poor man, will look out for the youths and see how best we can create employment for them, that will look out and speak for the civil servants, those that are in holding positions for the past 4 years, those that have been sidelined, in general, even those that are in employment today. What sort of life are they leading? So to answer the question that I ask you, government is there to resolve problems that the people face. So when a government is upset, when a government can't be felt when the citizens need it the most, that government must be removed. So we have enough time. Work starts now. We are talking to our structures right across the country that we need not search any longer. A leader has emerged out of a credible and transparent election, able to provide leadership for the rest of the opposition leaders, going out to encourage them to work together. So even for our Council of Elders, I want to thank them for the efforts that they have made, in trying to bring opposition political parties together. And I'm saying to them that we are at a point now where all we need to do is come to Tonse, let us work with Tonse and be able to mount a very serious and united opposition come August 2026. Mwebe na Zambia. Intungulushi mwale fuaya, abe na Zambia bene, ukupicha muntungulushenu mutonse na wasala. Mwebe na Chipata, mwebe na Lumezi, mwebe na Lundazi. Wabululu bandiko bene Pumulo Zulu. Wabululu bandiko bene Rafa. Munali kufuna musogoleri, munali kukamba kuti timpase direction. Tinankala mailo mkawe mnamvelela, tinankala ku conference, ku congress ya sanka kuti Brian Muntala Mundubile ankale president wa Alliance. Chamenti nacho manja hapa, endani kuma farmers, endani ku banchito ba government, endani ku mayouths, na bantu wonse kubauza kuti nchito ya badwa, nchito ya yamba manje. Tisebenzele pamozi, tipeleke message ku bantu kuti time kabwela, ijantawi kabwela mu August, tinisebenzele pamozi, tikemo Tonse Alliance mu government, tiambe kutandizela ma farmers, tiambe kutandizela banchito, naona kuti vipatala vatu, vina mankwala, maschools yatu, ya kulilako, bana ba skulu bachepe mu classroom, maticha bavutika maningi. Ayo magranti amene wapasa mu skulu mu ya chepesa ya 25,000 na kufika pena ngusiyafika. So it's a free education tikamba kuti ilibwino, but implementation I think is something that has to be looked at. It has to be looked at by ensuring that both the learners and the teachers are working in a conducive environment and are working comfortably. Thank you very much.
All right. Well, Honorable Brian Mundubile, congratulations once again for being elected president of the Tonse Alliance. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Chisha, thank you very much. I look forward to coming again.
All right, sure. Well, this has been the Hot Seat here on Hot 87.7. We've been live on Kwitu FM as well here in Lusaka, live on Kanele FM in the Eastern Province, Baita FM in the Southern Province, KNC FM in the Central Province, Radio Mano in the Northern Province, in Muchinga it's Chete FM, Radio Yangeni in Wapula, and also KFM as well out there. And Western Province, we've been live on Oblet Radio Liseli and Mwandi Community Radio, and on the Copper Belt, we've been live on Mafken FM. Thank you so much for listening. Also for watching on our Facebook page, that's Hot FM Zambia. Also listening through DSTV and Go TV and any radio streaming app. My name is Chisha Mwambe. I've been your host. Thank you very much for listening. Look out for the next edition of The Hot Seat next week on Tuesday. Stay tuned to Hot 87.7.
We're like your favorite series.